Hey everyone, Michael T here. In case you haven't noticed, I've shifted our hashtag from day one ready to quarter one ready. And the reason for that is One Goal is this weird hybrid in which we work on a financial calendar because of our donors, but we are working with schools and classrooms and teachers. And so we also adhere to an academic calendar. So when you hear quarter one, all that really means is that it's referring from July, August, and September. And October 1st is when we start quarter two. So this is basically making sure that you guys are ready for this quarter one, that we're finishing the month of September strong, and that we're hitting everything that we need to. So the three topics that I'm going to cover today are rosters, scope and sequence, and classroom visits. This first slide looks very much like last week's weekly update. Again, if you have trouble accessing your One Goal email, it's just first.last@onegoalgraduation.org. Some of you guys might have a number after your last name. I've notified you individually if that's the case, but if you are running into any access issues, feel free to shoot me a text or email. And then also, again, with rosters, we're talking about your apprentices, your fellows, your students. And so we need basically first and last name as well as student ID, as well as a handful of other info points or data points. For example, t-shirt size. We're trying to place t-shirts for our Y1 conference in the spring. So the soft deadline for this is going to be Friday, September 7th. Some of you guys might be receiving this, Thursday, September 6th. There is a hard deadline, so you do have a window. The hard deadline is going to be Wednesday, September 12th. Okay, so there's a little bit of a window for you guys to get those rosters in. Again, if you haven't done so already, make sure to skip Unit 1, Lesson 2. That's the Intro to Inbox. Essentially, we won't have those inboxes created, those fellow accounts created, until those rosters have been submitted. So this kind of leads me to my next slide. I have a picture of dominoes. If you look over there, the dominoes essentially represent that one thing needs to fall in place for the next thing to fall in place. So our first domino are those rosters. Again, if you could get that out to us as soon as possible, that would be great. For example, Brandon Broaden, thank you. Let's see, Miss Caldwell, thank you so much for sending your rosters. Again, first name, last name, student ID, birthday, personal or school email, as well as t-shirt size. The second domino is going to be our grad track records. So One Goal uses a platform called GradTrack, which is actually on the Salesforce platform. Essentially, we need to create individualized accounts for each of your fellows that correctly match your cohort. So what does that mean? It means that when your fellows take an SAT or ACT test or a diagnostic, those scores are going to be then linked to their account. Or in Y2, when your fellows are actually applying to colleges, that list of acceptances and denials and wait lists are actually going to be linked to their account. Again, we need all rosters finalized and verified by Wednesday, September 12th, so that they're ready for IT on Friday, September 14th. Our third domino is going to be our One Goal fellow emails. So once we have those contact records on GradTrack, we're going to use Google domain to create those fellow emails. Once that happens, which ideally will be by Friday, September 21st, feel free to loop back into Unit 1, Lesson 2, Intro to Inbox. And then our fourth domino is going to be our electronic enrollment paperwork. So there's 5 pieces of the paperwork. There's the liability waiver, the FERPA, the media release, the social media release, and parent texting. Again, this is going to be required. The first 2, liability waiver and FERPA, are going to be required. And that's for us to track them from Y1 to Y2 to Y3 to when they become alumni. Again, we're piloting this electronic form, so this might take us into October. If it happens any sooner, we'll let you know. If it takes a little bit longer, we'll also let you know. Also, if there are any technology issues, we do have Spanish and English copies that are available that you could easily print out. Next topic, scope and sequence. So again, in terms of accessing the curriculum, make sure that you're logged into your One Goal profile. You could go to tinyurl.com/onegoalwiki2. The scope and sequence, the year 1, year at a glance. If you attended our kickoff PDC, you already have a copy of this. But the scope and sequence is kind of like a one-pager front and back of the whole year if you want to utilize that. And there is a modified version for KIP PDs. Again, our special cases, skipping over Unit 1, Lesson 2, and preparing intensely for Unit 2, Lesson 2, Part 2, our GPA jump. Remember to get in contact with your Dean of Instruction or your Director of College Counseling or your registrar to pull those transcripts, as well as understand what exactly does weighted GPA mean at your campus. In terms of building relationships, and I put the hashtag vulnerability on here, again, demonstrate that vulnerability, model it for your fellows. One way to do that is to actually do a short presentation about yourself. So if I click into this, you can see a short slideshow about some people that are important to me in my life, some of my hobbies, some of like the classes that I taught, where I like to travel, what I majored in college, as well as my own One Goal Fellows, favorite food, again, any extracurriculars that you want to add on there. And this could be as many pictures or as few pictures as you'd like. Again, it's very informal, 5 to 10 minutes, and you don't have to talk about every single picture. Just select one or two and have that conversation with your fellows. And then ask it of your fellows as well, so that you get to know them and they get to know one another. I saw this done really well in Crystal Fain's classroom at Stratford. One way that she did it, or to make sure that it was really robust, was she actually utilized Unit 1, Lesson 3, in which fellows are asked to share a moment when they felt overjoyed, when they felt defeated, when they felt accomplished. You could model it after that and make it as an extension. She also utilized questions and affirmations from the audience. So she didn't settle to move on until there were at least a couple questions and a couple affirmations that were given. Amy Robles over at KIP, she actually did a great job of having the fellows interview one another and share their partner story. So that's another spin that you could do on it too. And again, prioritize lessons and routines like College of the Week and current events and social justice articles. All of that is available for you there. Again, I encourage you making this into a daily routine in terms of like the College of the Week, just every single day doing a piece of that. And then for the social justice articles, you could spend a little bit more time diving into like a Socratic seminar or inner outer circle setting. All right, so classroom visits. This is our third and final topic. I just put a reminder here. We are not your appraisers. We are not your evaluators. So when Chanel and I go to visit your classroom, it's not like we're trying to play gotcha in terms of like, oh, why aren't you on this part of the curriculum? It's not about that at all. You don't have to put a dog and pony show for us. We are here to support you. And we know that as educators and professionals, you guys already have a ton of knowledge and a ton of expertise. It doesn't matter if you're coming from the post-secondary background and this is your first year teaching, or you're a veteran teacher and college knowledge is something that you're trying to, is basically your learning curve this year. We know that you have a lot of talent and expertise already in your toolbox. And so because of that, we approach our coaching from an asset-based perspective and not a deficit-based one. Also know that any conversations that we have with you are going to be held in confidence. That means we're not going to turn to your appraiser or evaluator and say, so-and-so said this, or we saw this in the classroom. No, these are going to be private conversations that we are going to hold with the utmost confidence. And then finally, any areas of growth that we do decide to work on is done so without judgment. Okay, so just setting that foundation. I know some of you guys are actually coaches and mentors for other faculty on your campus. If you haven't done so already, check out Elena Aguilar's The Art of Coaching. Really good read, great tools for your toolbox. And so going back to our classroom visits, the purpose is we want to know where your classrooms are. We want to see your classroom and meet your fellows, and we want to get a feel for your teaching style. In terms of the product, hopefully our fellows walk away feeling as if there's this larger support network, right? There's you that's rooting for them, but there's this whole organization that's rooting for them to achieve their greatest post-secondary aspiration. And that's straight from our vision statement. And then our process, if you haven't done so already, make sure to communicate with your DTS. What's your class schedule, including when you're teaching one goal and when you have conference periods. Make sure to exchange cell phone numbers too. Sometimes there are last minute changes that do occur or last minute emergencies. We definitely want to take that in consideration. And then coordinate with your DTS on the best day and time to arrange a visit. And if possible, spend some time debriefing with your DTS. All right, last slide. There are what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 homework assignments for you guys. Again, basically everything that we talked about in terms of arranging our get to know yous and classroom visits, as well as our rosters, our scope and sequence to plan out our lessons, and then creating your own introduction presentation to demonstrate that vulnerability. When using the scope and sequence, make sure to do some backwards planning. For example, if you know that your school is administering an SAT or ACT in the month of October, you might want to spend the couple weeks leading up to that doing some like heavy test prep boot camp so that it's timely and relevant for your fellows. Again, I'm all for backwards planning, and hopefully these tools give you the opportunity to do so. There's our contact information. Again, don't hesitate to reach out to us via email or cell phone. And then as a sneak peek, I have a quote here from Picasso, who is my brother's favorite artist. My brother is a painter. It says, "Good artists copy, great artists steal." All right. So I know this kind of runs almost countercurrent to this whole hashtag community. But essentially what I meant to do when I inserted that quote is like, I want to create a PLC space for us, for PDs, for DTSs. So if you have some great resources, or if you want a means to communicate with your other PDs to see how things are going at various campuses, I want to create that space for us. And so this will most likely be through Google Classroom. But let me know if you've already used Google Classroom or any other platform to do the same thing within your own classes. So again, just setting up this professional learning community for us so that we could share some great ideas. All right, enjoy the rest of your week.